All right. So FSBOs are a tricky thing. There's a mindset in a for sale by owner, and it's one of multiple things. One thing is maybe they don't value realtors at all. Maybe they don't feel like realtors do their job, and more than likely that's based on a past experience or a testimony from a friend, something like that. So right from the get-go, it can be a confrontational interaction. And if they've had a bad experience and you call them, their attitude or even ego may be, I don't need you. And when you feel that way about something that you absolutely have even a disdain for, what's the last thing you want to do? Argue about it. Leave me alone. Just leave me alone. No, I'm not going to pay a buyer agent's fee. Just leave me alone. So I want to make sure that we're going into this with the right attitude and with the right heart. And I want to share my screen here and go through my presentation because sometimes seeing helps. Let me fix this on my screen here. When I see everybody's faces, it blocks the view. Okay. So how to work with a FSBO. That the real thinking that I want you guys to pursue here is, what is your goal? And when you call a FSBO, let me just ask straight up and give me some different answers. Give me your answer. Don't overthink this. It's not a big deal. What's your goal?
Usually to find out about the house for a buyer.
Okay, Bill says to find out about the house for a potential buyer. Anybody else?
I kind of want to get my name and face circulating in their head somehow. If I just knock on the door and say, hey, look, if you ever need some help, information's free. And I always tell people that, and I've had good luck with that in the past.
Okay.
Letting people call and pick my brain that when they don't feel like they've got some.
Yeah.
A realtor would do it too.
So Stephanie wants to be front of mind. Anybody else? Come on, just say it.
Yeah,
to get the listing. Yeah.
Buyer agent fee.
To get a buyer agent fee. Okay. So understand your goal. Understand your goal and be okay with that. Own that goal. Now, what I want to go through with that is who remembers our word of the year? Say it.
Action.
Good.
Action.
Action. Action is our word of the year. Guys, without action, nothing happens. Okay. You can't even get told no if you don't make the call. It's already an automatic. You can't even get turned down. That's what somebody had to tell me once about dating. You got to ask. You just got to. Yeah. So we talk about the two different types of selling. One is transactional, one's relational. The transactional mindset in this is, I want that listing. Is there anything wrong with wanting that listing? No, that's fine. Another thing is, I'm going to prove they need an agent. Is there anything wrong with that? Can you prove that a FSBO would do better with a realtor?
To some people you can, some people will deny.
Statistically, yes.
Yes.
Statistically, they get more money. That more money covers your fee and more profit. Statistically, yes, you can prove, and statistics are a method of science. So yes, it wins. If they don't use me, they're stupid. Anybody ever thought that? Anybody in the business for a while ever thought, man, if you got to be kidding me. You're priced 80 grand below market and you're telling me no. You're stupid.
Usually I think it's ignorance instead of stupidity.
But you just told them.
Yeah. Once they know, you cross the ignorance stupidity threshold, I think.
So relational, relational. How can I help them? They need a friend that'll guide them, and I'm not tied to the outcome. Does that feel better to any of you than the stuff on the left? Does that change your blood pressure even when we talk about it? Did it change how you were breathing? It changes, doesn't it? When you put the right vibe out, it changes how they're going to respond because it's completely changed how you're responding. It's a totally different game. So with that in mind, we want to make sure that we're coming as Smith and Associates agents, we're coming to people to help them. We're coming to them with a mindset of, I want to help you. Now, what does help do? When we help someone, we provide value. Absolutely. So transactional says it's a numbers game. If I just talk to 50 of these, I'll get one. Is there anything wrong with that? Anybody ever done telemarketing? Anyone?
Well, I'm a realtor essentially.
Well, where's Tina when you need her? She was a telemarketer selling burial plots. Yeah, you talk about a downer. You're going to die. You need this. I'll get one out of 50. Turn and burn, baby. Turn and burn. Yep. And what I did with expireds was very similar when I first got in the business. I would make the phone calls every day. I'd call every expired listing every day. When I called the expired listings, and man, there were some days there weren't any because 04, 05, 06, that was an up market too. I'd call the expireds and I'd say, I'd like to do a study on why your house didn't sell. Of course, I'd be happy to share that study with you and the results and see if there's anything that you'd like to change based on what I find. And if you like what I have to say, we'll talk about what I do to advertise properties. If you like that, we'll list it and get it sold. Matter of fact, we have a guarantee that if it doesn't sell, we will buy it. And I'd love to sit and visit with you about that. Would Thursday at 5:30 work for you? And they'd say, no, we're not interested. And I'd just call the next one. It didn't hurt my feelings. Not a bit. Not a bit. Did I ask them why? Did I form a relationship with them? Did I ask why they were selling? Did I learn about them? No. Transactional. Relational. It's a referrals game. The world's abundant, and I sure like these folks. We should hang out. Is that how you feel about your clients? Most of the time. Sometimes you don't, and they don't make it on your database. Bye-bye. So it's a totally different game when you call and you say something completely different than, are you still interested in selling? I'd love to list that for you. I even narrowed my sales pitch down to this. Hey, did you know your house isn't on the market anymore? Yeah. Do you still want to sell it? Yeah. You want to see how I sell houses? That was it. And I got the exact same results. Why? Truly, why? I was doing something. That's why. When you do something, it turns out. Now, let's talk about being relational. Let's play a little video and let's see what happened with this guy when he built value and he was a little bit relational. This is a coach that probably you've never heard of, but man, I like this video.
And from 20 new clients. The entire model of the real estate launch program and the whole model of how I run my real estate business is creating a world-class client experience, one client at a time. Now, I'm going to tell you a story of one of the coaching clients who absolutely went over and above to go after this FSBO, which is a for sale by owner. So he had this open house, and it just blows my mind. He had an open house. He did really well. He got some leads, and he had some potential leads to sell the house. Now he's picking up his signs, which by the way, he had 14 signs. He's halfway done picking them up. He sees this little sign, and it's a for sale by owner sign, and there's one sign. He had to literally go and guess which house it is. He finally goes, I guess this is the house. They had one sign on the corner and no sign on the front lawn. He goes, you know, I'm going to go in and chat with these people. He walks in, he goes, hey, you have an open house here? Yeah, come on in. He goes, how many people have you had? Well, I've had about 3, counting you. And he said, okay, great, yeah. So you only have the one sign. Yeah, I was just doing open house. Yeah, we saw your signs. And he goes, yeah, I had about 10 or 15 people come through my open house. No way. And he says, okay, yeah, great. So anyways, he just had some conversation. He looked around the house, he viewed the property, and he says, you know what? And he tried to help these people from a very sincere position. And that's a really good for sale by owner strategy, because obviously there's a reason why they don't trust the realtor, or they don't want to pay for a realtor. They don't see the value in actually what the realtor brings. So you have to create a picture that you are going to bring the value worth that commission. But you can't do that unless you help them. Now, here's the thing. Through conversations, he goes, are you going to be doing another open house? He goes, well, they're like, yeah, we will. And by now he's actually given some advice, and he's helped them out. He's viewed the property, and they're very much liking him. And that was step 1, to trust his likability. So you establish that. Then the thing is, how do you create kind of work to help these people? And maybe down the road, you've left the market enough that when it finally doesn't sell, they're going to call this guy and say, look, we want your help. Now, what he did was he came up with an idea to help them with their open house. And he says, well, you don't have any signs. Maybe call the company and try to get more signs. You're never going to get the exposure you need. And then they said, oh, yeah, I don't know. And they're like, well, maybe the dollar store, maybe this. And he's trying to help them out to get more exposure for the open house. Then it hit him. He goes, I've got a bunch of generic signs, these open house signs, directional signs. He said, you know what? How about this? I've got a bunch of signs that don't have any kind of brokerage or anything. It's just generic open house signs. I'm going to give you all my signs for tomorrow's open house for you. Holy crap. How do you get talked about in this business? Well, you got to do something that's over and above. So this guy gives all of these signs to these people for their open house. Now think about it. He's got a reason to show up again at this open house and pick up his signs. At that point, maybe he might want to say, why didn't you choose a realtor? Well, if it's money, well, is it because you didn't get the value, or if you had a bad experience? And then maybe he can find the problem and offer a solution. If that doesn't work, well, then create another reason to just keep coming back and having conversations that you're not a used car salesman. You obviously disclose you would love to help them, and here's how. Now, but the key is that he gave signs. How many realtors offer signs to help a for sale by owners sell their house? This guy will be talked about. Those talked about conversations are going to be referrals. And that's what he says. At the end of the day, the only reason I'm doing this is, you know what the reality is? I build my business on referrals. So if you, maybe down the road, even if you don't sell your house, if I can help you sell your house, maybe down the road, if someone's looking for a realtor, you can send them my way. And of course, they're like, oh, we totally would. We're just halfway to actually getting the listing. Anyways, hopefully that rings a bell. It's a phenomenal story. I was so pumped for this guy. In our Realtor Launch program, we have an award for the best story every time. He won the trophy that week. And I'm proud of you, man. You know who it is. Anyways, if you want to chat on Facebook, put some comments. We'll chat. Talk to you soon. See ya.
So why do we celebrate so often, whether we get a listing or a EBA or a contract versus providing value? Why can't we just celebrate that we did something good for somebody and put some good out in the world and trust that we have an abundant world that'll pay us back for that? So we keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. Because the more you put out and the more you celebrate that you're doing these good things, the more you're going to attract business. It's just going to happen. It's just going to happen. You don't have to be tied to the outcome of each and every action. You have to be tied to the action. There are a lot of people here in a lot better shape than I am. And for me to get where I want to go, I am not tied to my number. I'm not tied to a goal weight. I'm tied to daily activity. I'm tied to, am I going to improve this week versus last week on my durability, on my hitting it? Am I tied to that? Absolutely. Absolutely. If I'm doing that, the score takes care of itself, right? Isn't that what they say in sports people? The score takes care of itself. Do what you're supposed to do. Action. Action by creating value. You've got to create value. So here's what I come up with. Here's what I like. Hi, this is Jason. I'm a real estate agent with Smith and Associates. I'm not calling to ask you to list your house with me. How many agents have called them to talk about listings?
Wow.
Every freaking KW agent that is like 2 years or younger has called them. I'm not calling to list your house. Seller might reply, so take a short pause. I really like keeping up with what's available on the market for my buyers, and I might have a buyer interested in your home. I'm wondering if you're willing to pay a buyer agent fee, and if so, would you be okay with me coming by and previewing the house so I know more about it? They might say no. Cool. Have a great day. Thanks so much. Totally understand. I hope you have the best success. Go ahead and keep putting good out. It's fine. It's fine. My absolute polar opposite example of that is an agent that I managed long time ago, probably 15 years ago, maybe 16. This agent had a strip along a major highway of houses for sale, and one of them right in the middle he was having a hard time getting in touch with and hadn't listed it yet. And seriously, there were like 6, 7 houses that he had a sign in front of, and he's like, that is going to turn into a strip mall development if I can get that one in the middle. So he went out and he knocked on this guy's door finally, and a guy answered the door. He said, I've been trying to call you, and I know you must be busy, but I wanted to touch base with you, see if you'd be interested in selling your house. And the guy said, absolutely not. Get off my porch. And my agent said, go F yourself. Yeah, that was one time where I immediately ran out with gift cards to apologize. Yeah. So keep putting the good out there. It doesn't hurt you to put the good out. If they say yes, say great. Set the appointment. Okay. We flow, get the appointment. That's right. That's the first link in the income chain is flow. Second link, say it. Appointment. Okay, step 2, at the appointment, hand them a real estate review. I got this info together for you and thought it might help you if a buyer comes along and wants some info on the value of homes in your area. Attached are the actual listing sheets so the buyer can check them out. Here you go. What have you done? Provided? Say it.
Value.
Good. Ask if you can take photos. I'd love to take some additional shots if that's okay with you. I'd like to share them with any buyers I have that may be interested. Make sure you take angles from the corner of the rooms with only 2 walls showing. Doesn't work on all rooms, but it works on most. Get the flooring and ceiling in the pics. That makes the rooms larger and more presentable. Our photographer just smiled at me. She knows. Ask them if they would like any showing tips. Minimal items for staging, make the repairs you already know an inspector is going to suggest. Turn on all the lights, open all the blinds for showing, bake cookies before showing, make sure the windows and light fixtures are clean, etc., etc. And then leave them with this. What is this? I will show you. This is the handy dandy thing that shall be made for us. Hey, this might help you too. What are we doing? Yeah. Why? Why would we provide value to somebody that hasn't listed with us? Part of it. Yeah. You ever see somebody drown? I haven't. Would you help them if you could? Yeah. Why not? Why not put good out there, guys? Right? you've got an ability to help somebody. That's why. That's why. Give it to them. Your job is to build true value. It is. And the more you can give them, the more they'll value you. Let's talk about value. What is value? Who's got $1 on them? Nobody. Damn, we got to get some closings. Wow. Okay.
Money's dirty. You don't.
Money's dirty. Yeah. I've got $1 on me. Okay. What's it worth? It depends on what you want. It totally just depends on what you want. Is it worth a candy bar if you're hungry? What would you use it for? So if you're hungry and you've got the $1, is the candy bar worth more to you than the $1 now? I can keep the $1 and be hungry, or I can give the $1 and not be hungry. I'd rather have the candy bar. The candy bar is worth more to me than having this in my pocket. That's value 101. They don't believe your services at this point are worth more than the $1 in their pocket. Does that make sense? So we teach them gently and generously what our services can do for them that they can't do for themselves. And we provide and provide and provide. What are we not attached to? Why? You ever get something better than what you asked for? You don't know where it's coming from and when, but if you put it out there, it comes. Just does. Just does. My dad used to pray over me, Lord, bless his efforts. And two really good things out of that for me. One is a memory of my dad rubbing my head, going to bed, praying for me. That's pretty cool. The second one is the word efforts. Plenty of people pray, Lord, bless me. But bless my efforts is a different, totally different story. And when you go out there and you give value, those efforts, it just comes back. It just comes back. It just does. Step 3 and beyond, find ways to continue to provide weekly. Make a flyer. You've got all those pictures you took. Send them to Shelby. Say, hey, I suck at this. I'm using Word. Help me. All the time. I see them. Yeah. Help me. Send them a property feature sheet to give to potential buyers. Where do you find a property feature sheet? On the drive. Make a slide video and post it to YouTube and then send them the link so they can share it on social media. All you got to do to make that slide video is import the images into iMovie if you have an iPhone, and I'm sure your Droid phones have something really similar. Ask if they've chosen a title company yet and tell them if they get an offer, Shelby from Waco Title Company can help them through the process. Why would you do that?
Value.
Right. Well, Jason, we were just going to write it down on a napkin if they came, and we didn't even know we had to use a title company. Why would we use a title company? Oh.
Don't know what they don't know.
Oh.
And you're also building a relationship with your title company as well.
We were just going to go down to the courthouse and sign it over. Quit claim deed. My own mom and stepdad did that. I couldn't believe it. They called and they're like, we bought land. Huh? Yeah, it was so easy. We just went down to the courthouse, gave them $30 and gave the guy the check, and we're done. You know if it has any liens on it, Mom? No. No, you don't. You sure don't. If they get a contract, send them the seller's guide so they have direction through the process. Why would you help somebody when they already have a contract? Why wouldn't you just say, well, crap, that didn't work? Would you?
What the contracts fall through.
What if it doesn't?
They know other people are gonna be selling their houses.
You ever watch somebody drowned? Me neither. I can help them. Here's a checklist for you. Let me help. Let me be good to you.
Well, and if they're selling their homes, chances are they're buying something, so maybe they.
Yeah.
help on that side.
Maybe not. Am I tied to the outcome or am I putting good out in the world? If I put good out in the world, do you believe it'll come back to you? And if you take action on this all the time, every time, and are consistent in taking action and helping people, do you believe the world's a generous place? Ever watch somebody drown? Me neither. I'm going to help them. I'm going to be good to them. Offer to answer any questions that come up through the process. Use me as a resource. I'd rather see your family do well instead of poor. It doesn't matter that I'm not your listing agent. If you need anything, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to help. Ask them about things going on in their life that they've shared with you, because if you're calling people this often, hey, can't talk right now, taking Jimmy to karate. No problem at all. Next time I call, now a good time. You guys headed to karate? No, we're good. We're good. We can talk. Awesome. How's Jimmy doing in karate? Where does he take that? Form that relationship. Want to make money in real estate? Take action and provide true value. That's what you got to do. Even with your sphere, not just with potential FSBOs, even with your sphere. Take action and provide value. If you don't, somebody else will. I love the story about the listing that I saw pop up, a big, beautiful house in Springdale on about 1.5 acres, 2 acres. And the seller plays music with me. He's a band director. I've taught classes for him. I've helped his low brass section multiple times. Anytime he calls me, I'm like, man, that sounds like a great time. I'm coming. I'm going to be there. Great break from a stressful life. I'm on my way to do something different. It's going to be good. I head over there. I teach. I hang out. We drink whiskey together. And I didn't get the listing. It just popped up. I didn't even know he was thinking about selling. I was in flow with the guy. I had no idea he wanted to sell. None. The person that listed his house goes to his home every day and volunteers for his nonverbal autistic twins. Am I going to be in that much flow with him? Nope. That ain't me. That ain't me. What she couldn't do is provide value in real estate. That agent didn't have what it took. He kept asking, what do we need to get this place sold? I hear the market's hot. Our house is just sitting here. What do we got to do? I don't know. What do you think? What's the answer? That's what he told me the answer was. I walked through the house. I said, paint the cabinets white, fix this flooring, and paint this room, get rid of this furniture, and you need some plants. And he did it, and we were done. Got it sold, bought the next house. We were done. You've got to be able to provide value, and people will go with you. But you've got to be in flow, action, then value. And then it happens. I didn't have as much action as that girl. Wasn't gonna, still not gonna. Nope. So now, any questions about that process? Any thoughts about that process? Anybody want to chime in now? Who likes that process? Does it feel natural? Does it feel kind?
Yes.
Does it feel confrontational?
Authentic.
It's authentic. Do you want to argue your way into a listing? I want to prove to you why you need me. And if you don't use me, you're stupid. Could you convince someone? Maybe. Maybe. Honestly, I think I have in the past. I think I've bullied people into listing with me because I know my stuff. I know my stuff. I think I've bullied people into that in the past. Didn't feel good. Deal got finished. They left. I left. Transactional. Transactional. Did it feed my family? Yeah, it did. For a season. This will feed your family for a career. Totally different. Totally different. So let's look at this paperwork. Anybody on the Zoom world have anything to chime in right now?
Jason, I actually had this scenario happen to me. I got a call from a guy. Actually, it was through realtor.com lead. I went out to his place and found out it was for sale by owner. And we just sat and visited. And the first thing I asked him is if he was providing, a buyer's agent fee. He said no. I said, well, you might want to start there first. And we talked over the last couple of weeks. And eventually, about 3 weeks into it, he finally called me and said, let's put it on. I need your help. And we got his duplex sold in about a little bit less than 60 days. So it does work. Just go out there and provide some value, and just try to help them. And
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. I'm glad it worked for you. I'm getting a unstable internet connection on me here. I don't know if you are too, Keith.
yeah, it's kind of jerky.
Sorry about that, gang. Let me take you through this paperwork now. And we are getting, because of the market right now, we are getting a lot of FSBO activity. And it prompted me to do something helpful and good because I want to provide value for you. How's that? How you like them apples? You like them apples? Okay. Okay. Let me share my screen again. And we're going to go into form simplicity here. Is my screen sharing? Okay, good.
Yes.
All right, let's go to start a new transaction. And look at that. We got a FSBO packet now. Hey, hey. So I'm going to go to blank forms. You can start a transaction with a FSBO packet now, but I'm going to show it to you from the forms library. And I'm going to go to forms packages and FSBO packet. And let's just talk about what's in there first. So first, we've got a seller info sheet, an agency rep for the seller, a buyer info sheet, and an agency rep for the buyer. Those are the things we need there for sure. And then above that is everything else you need for the file. Permission to show agreement and property disclosure, lead-based paint if it's older than 78. Who do we represent? It's a FSBO. We don't represent the seller, we represent the buyer. So we've got an EBA in the same folder. We've got, for your protection, get a home inspection, a general buyer leasee disclaimer, And then we move on to the contracts. You got the real estate contract, the URSA, and then the doc acknowledgement for buyer and seller. Everything you need for the entire file is there. Okay? Does that help?
Hey, Jason,
Yeah.
I don't ever send a documents acknowledgement to the seller when it's a FSBO.
You know-
Should I be? I mean, I don't represent them. I don't.
No, but would you like
I mean,
a phone call, or would you like to take 10 seconds to send the form?
well, documents acknowledgements are a pain in the rear. I hate doing them. You have to gather all the documents and, you know, I mean, it's like my least favorite part of any transaction.
All of those documents should be in the drive and should be really easy to share just by clicking the seller's folder and getting the link and sending that through an email or even a text. Here's your link for your transaction with all of your documents. And then also, if they've signed everything digitally, they already have a copy of everything in their email from you.
Oh, right.
To be honest, I rarely hand anything over to anybody, and I send that and just say this last form says you got a copy of everything you signed, and they sign it. I haven't ran into any trouble with it doing it that way. So
Well, with my clients, I always do either send or print everything along with the documents acknowledgement. But on FSBOs, I've never ever sent. I mean, of course, they get it through Form Simplicity when they sign stuff, so they have everything. But I've never sent a DocSac.
Well, it sounds like it's a negative for you to go through
more work
together. So you might try just getting that link together and freeing up some time in your life.
Yeah.
So we get the permission to show agreement. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. Eventually. And we've got a right to show Smith and Associates between the selling firm and the seller. And we want to begin that on the day that we're getting it signed and go out. I would say 3 months. I would. Put the address in, the legal description. And here's what I want to put here. I want to put to be determined or any. Okay? Let's just leave it as any. Because what happens then, if we recognize a property will pay a 3% fee and we can get a permission to show agreement from them, is that permission to show agreement between you and the seller or Smith and Associates and the seller? Yeah.
Smith and Associates.
So would you want to go take your potential buyer out to look at that property before you share that with our 50 agents? Sure. Yeah. You don't want to create a frenzy if you've got an opportunity there for your buyer. You've got to represent your buyer and you found it. You need to go check it out. Your buyer says, not the right one for us. What do? Hey guys, I've already got an EBA or a permission to show on this property for the company. On the buyer, they agreed any buyer represented by Smith and Associates can come. If you have a buyer looking for this, here's the info. Are you helping out your fellow man? Yeah. Why?
The right thing to do.
Yeah, it's the right thing to do. After that, we come down and we're going to put in 3%. And we're golden. I'm going to save that. So now nobody has to remember those terms. They're in there. We go from here to the property disclosure. We send both of those off, lead-based paint if we have to. I'll edit the EBA to be the same as our current EBA. And then everything else just runs. Everything else just runs from there. So the documents are in the correct order. The phrases will be in there, and you should be all set. Sound good? Yeah? Is that something you guys could have done on your own? Why'd I do it for you? Yeah, do the same for your clients. No big deal at all. Help them out. All right, that's what I've got today. Keith, tell me your favorite thing from today.
Well, I do like that forms packet that you just showed. That's good. That puts everything in one spot. And I guess the thing that I had never thought about was on the permission to show to put any agent in the put any in there so it could be used for any agent. I like.
Nice. Sue.
Well, everything is new to me, so I enjoyed the entire presentation. So
Awesome. Stephanie.
I liked all the stories that you told us about it. It just makes it more personal and like keeps it entertaining. And a lot of the stuff is new for me too. So I like it all.
Awesome. Maggie.
I like the FSBO packet,
Yay. Eric.
except for the seller documents acknowledgement.
Yeah.
No, I like having that in there. You don't have to pull everything together.
Awesome. Eric.
Same here. Love the FSBO packet. It's awesome. That's thanks a lot for doing that for us.
Absolutely. Stuart. I bet he's at work. And I've got my chat open now. There we go. The dialogue with the FSBO, it shows how sincere it can be. Fantastic. Thank you. And I'm going to go ahead through here. Stephanie.
I like the packages.
The packet. Good. Jen.
Packet as well, and I didn't know that we were supposed to send it.
Honestly, I agree with Maggie on the absolute of that no, you don't have to. I agree with that. However, could it avoid an issue later?
Yeah.
And what are we here to provide? Why not? Why not? And if it's really a matter of, you've sent your documents to your office manager, they're sitting there for the seller. Why not provide the link and say, here's your stuff. And then here's a form that says you got everything that you signed. It's been a real pleasure. Just another reason to contact them. The more often you contact them and stay front of mind, the more likely you're to get a referral. Especially when you do it with kindness and value. Bill?
Providing value without being tied to the outcome. It takes all the pressure off calling those people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I know a lot of people dread making those calls, but if you think about it in those terms, it makes it much easier, I think.
Is everybody in Zoom able to hear? Okay. Speak up in here, guys, so they can hear. Let's go to our newest agent, Shelby. Yay!
Like what Bill said, just providing value and it not being totally transactional. I've had another agent before say, I was like, hey, are you contacting any more FSBOs? And they're like, I haven't seen anything from that. Nothing's come from it. And I remember telling them, not yet. And it's true. Like, you might not get either side of that transaction. You might not work with them. You might not hear from them for a while.
Maybe 2 years down the road.
Yeah, you never know. So I think it's so important to make that a priority instead of, I'm going to make you use me right, to list your house, because that's not the most important thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Malia.
I don't know a whole lot about real estate, but I'm learning. And so I think that what I'm taking away from this is for me to be able to provide value in another way so that I can help you guys provide value. So I think my key word that I'm taking away from today is value, is providing anything that I can bring to the table. So, yeah.
Awesome.
And I like being here as well.
We need.
Felicia.
I love what Stuart said. I think having the dialogue that everyone can look at and not feel so intimidated when they're making FSBO phone calls, I think it's going to make a huge difference.
Do you know where that dialogue is located?
In Drive.
It is. It's on the drive under a FSBO folder. So all you have to do is type in FSBO, and guess what? It's the only thing in there. It is. And it includes the exact verbiage that I had on the presentation with those 2 links for things that you can provide to the FSBO. Yeah. Carrie.
That was my favorite part, going beyond just an initial FSBO meeting and taking it through the whole, following them through to referring to, title and everything else. So that was pretty cool.
Nice, nice. Charity.
Well, of course, I love everything, what everyone said in the package. But one thing that you said that stood out to me is, talking about not being tied to the outcome, but being tied, we have to be tied to the action and being tied to that daily action. So.
Absolutely. Boy, you've been a good example of that, Roy.
Yes.
Yeah. Charity's new name is Roy around here. Rookie of the year. That's right.
Love it.
All right. How about you, Evan?
Mine was a lot the same. Action, always something to be done, always an excuse to contact somebody. So that was really all I did during the snow week. Was I didn't do a whole lot of real estate, but I did make more board calls than I've probably ever made in a week before, and that feels good.
That's awesome. Hey, next week is our monthly company meeting, so more attendance than ever at the first meeting of the month. I want people there. If you have to zoom in, zoom in. If you're here, that's even better. And we are going to see how we're doing on tracking that 85 million in 2021 and where we're at with that. So we're gonna go back to what we were doing at the start of 2020 at the end of a meeting. So everybody stand up. And some of you know what I'm about to do, and some of you have no idea. And on 3, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Good. Thank you guys. Have a great one.